All right. We just moments ago were talking to a farmer. She's saying they're in jeopardy of losing their farm, and a lot of it is about federal regulation. Martin Babinec is a candidate for Congress, and he's on the line right now. Were you able to hear any of what Robin Fitch had to say?
I'm sorry, Bill. This is Martin. Glad to join you this morning, but I did not have an opportunity to plug in and hear the last speaker.
I think it might be something worth looking into, and that is the regulations on our farms. And listen, you grew up here, and we're surrounded by farms all throughout the Mohawk Valley. Mm-hmm. And we've heard a lot of talk about, boy, we're just not getting the price for milk. And the government gets in, and they get involved. When the government gets involved, what happens? It gets to be a mess. So it might be something that would be interesting for you to look into as a candidate.
Absolutely. I've already been in discussion with the Farm Bureau, and I'm out there and spending time getting to know some of the issues affecting farms, because farming is an important attribute of our area, not only with the family farms that are here, but the opportunity that the farms have in the impact on our economy. This is a significant asset for our region.
So you are now officially on the ballot, right, on the reform line?
That's correct. We are still waiting the final certification by the New York State Board of Elections, but I have no doubt that we have the votes, and I will be on the Reform Party line, and yet our effort continues to also gather the signatures for the Upstate Jobs Party line, and we crossed the 3,500 signature threshold, which is the minimum requirement to get the line on the ballot. We crossed that threshold on Friday last week, just 7 days after the petition period began. We do look at that as a milestone showing the strength of the voter interest in the creation of a new ballot line.
All right, well, let's talk about, I just want to be just right out there, blunt, and I've heard a million times, Babinec does not have a chance in the world. He's going to be on a line way down, doesn't have a chance. How do you respond to that?
Well, you know, if this was a normal election cycle, that conventional thinking would probably hold true. But any of us that could step back and think about what is different in 2016 compared to even the last presidential year, 2012, or the last congressional cycle in 2014, the climate here is unquestionably different. And the level of frustration that voters have shown with the major parties on both sides is very clear. And not only with the resurgence of Donald Trump on the Republican side, but as you're aware, in Congressional District 22, Bernie Sanders crushed Hillary Clinton on the Democratic side, notwithstanding the tremendous visibility that Hillary Clinton had as our senator in this district for years.
Yeah.
So those results, as well as the willingness of candidates to embrace non-traditional candidates is very clear. So if there was ever a time that voters were ready to look a different way instead of just pulling a party lever out of habit, I think 2016 is that year.
So are you prepared, because you're now on the ballot, and Assemblywoman Tenney, while she did not, there was a lot of talk about the attack ads against the Assemblywoman, she can dish it out pretty well, and chances are you're going to be in her scope. Are you ready for that? Because it could get ugly.
Bill, I would not have made the decision to run for office without the willingness to take on whatever gets dished out. I'm not worried about it. I believe voters are very tired of negative campaigning, and you're not going to hear me dishing out negative things against my opponents. I mean, I will seek to compare and contrast where I have some differences in approach and some of the things that I stand for, but you're certainly not going to see me having any personal attacks and things that perhaps has been seen too often times with other candidates.
All right.
There are personal attacks from the candidates against the candidates. Of course, the Grow the Economy PAC, said to be funded by the Oneida Nation, I think spent over $500,000 on an attack campaign against Claudia Tenney. Do you have an opinion on that? Do you support that, or will you condemn that, or will you just kind of steer clear of involvement there?
No, I'm not in a position to really control what anybody else is going to do. I'm only responsible for what I do, and my message is very clear. I believe that what is important to the voters in this district is creating more opportunities for jobs, and I'm sick and tired of the politicians that keep saying they're going to create jobs, and they keep repeating the same things that we've been doing for the last 30 and 40 years and expect that we're going to get a different result.
Yeah.
So my message is very clear. I know a little bit about this process. I've got a track record to show that I do know what this is about and that I've made a difference, and I'm going to stick to that message, and jobs is the most important thing that I get across in my candidacy. And I would also point out that when we look at the field of candidates and we think about what is the history of people that have been elected to this office and have held the office for a number of years, the profile of what type of candidate voters have continually supported has traditionally been someone that has been a fiscal conservative and maybe a little bit more to the center on some social issues. And I'm the only candidate in this race that fits that profile, that has been so successful for this district over the years.
I want to I mentioned the attacks. They're already out, and we've already been hearing about Babinec. Here's the story, and it's the same way I think that Tenney went after Wells was by calling him a Cuomo lover, if you will. In this case, they're already out saying that you were a big donator of Hillary Clinton and other Democrats. You're a businessman, so the process becomes a little beyond politics. Can you talk about that? And is that true? Are you have you donated to Democrats?
I have in the past made donations to candidates on both sides of the aisle. As we've talked about in prior shows, I've been an independent voter my entire life. So in running the business, as well as, importantly, running the nonprofit Upstate Venture Connect, I've always felt it to be independent was in the better interest of what I was trying to accomplish. And yes, I will acknowledge that in prior years, particularly when Hillary Clinton was our senator, I was pleased with the work that she was doing, and I did support her. I think over time my views have changed, and I look at things a little bit differently now, especially as a result of now that I'm closer to the political process and thinking a lot about issues. It's not quite the same as looking at it purely through the lens of the goals that I had in running either my company, TriNet, or the nonprofit Upstate Venture Connect.
I do have to look back on the turnout was very low, and while I understand the Assemblywoman is going to tout pretty big victory in the primary, Herkimer County specifically, the voters were not inspired to get out. Half the people who voted in 2014 voted in this primary, about 1,800 people. What does the turnout mean for you? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, this is another reason why I believe my candidacy as an independent really will have some traction, because it is the low voter turnout in the primary process that causes us to come up with candidates that can be at the extreme in either party. And yet, in this particular district, we've seen that sometimes candidates that are a little bit closer to the center on some issues as what in the general election people respond to. So low voter turnout has produced the outcome of the primary on the Republican side. There's no question about that. And the general election is going to see a different story because, especially in this particular presidential election cycle, the interest level on the part of the voters is very clear. People are paying attention to what's going on in the presidential election.
I would expect the turnout to be enormous,
yes.
Like we haven't seen, at the very least, in a long, long time. And speaking of the presidential, I have people asking the question, who do you support for president?
You know, at this point, I'm like a lot of voters where I'm still sifting through what I see, because there are concerns that I have about both candidates, all right? And I've not come to my conclusion about where I will be throwing my vote. I think we're going to have to wait and see through the convention process and also see who exercises the kind of leadership that I believe is going to make the best impact for the voters in this district. So,
all right. Andrew, with a question from somebody on the
Yeah,
line.
somebody called up and wanted you to just clarify what exactly that the business you started out west specifically did and what it was.
All right,
Sure.
what is your business?
my company that is based in Silicon Valley is called TriNet. And what TriNet does is provide a range of services to small and mid-sized companies in handling all of the headaches of being an employer. So we're what's called a professional employer. And we do that for today about 12,500 businesses all over the U.S. And so what that has really taught me are all the things that are involved with the regulatory side. You think about the headaches of being an employer as a small business, and each new layer of regulation that happened, the burden that places on companies is something that I'm very sensitive to. Being an employer is also here in the U.S. Challenged because employers have to provide benefits, take care of things like workers' comp and payroll. And my company, TriNet, does that for, again, more than 12,000 businesses around the U.S.
I want to ask you briefly, by the way, we're talking to Martin Babinec, and he is the Reform Party candidate right now on the ballot, not officially, but unofficially will be on the ballot, at least on the reform line, and then they're presenting a new line and getting the signatures for that as we speak right now. My question for you is on education. I know this means a lot to you.
Yes.
And you participated, and it's kind of a two-parter, and I'd like you to cover a lot here. But are we really preparing our kids to enter into the workforce?
We need to do better.
Yeah.
Let me say that. It's like I have complete respect for our teachers and the hard work they do, and also the people that volunteer on school boards. It's a difficult job. But when I think about where could we be doing better in education, we have to adapt to the changing times, and education has lagged in that process. Too many of the people that graduate from our high schools are not as equipped as they need to be with the skills and understanding with what's going on in this world, particularly in what we'll call the innovation industries. So the commitments that I've made, including to my local school district here in Little Falls, is to help accelerate that process of what we'll call advancing the digital curriculum and having teachers become equipped to take advantage of a lot of things in educational technology that help them do a better job of using these technologies in the classroom and engaging students in a very interactive way. And especially, you think about the generation that's in high school now and how digital savvy they are.
Yeah.
They actually learn better when they are guided properly with teachers that are trained and equipped to take advantage of this. The ability of students to advance and adapt is incredible.
I'm told you for your hometown in Little Falls, you made a substantial donation towards technology to that school district on a couple of occasions.
Yes, it's a continuing program, and let me say it's not just the dollars, because while putting some dollars in made a difference, that was done in conjunction with bringing in the right people to help the school district down this path, because the process of how do you equip the faculty and really having the administration of the school take advantage of these things is complicated. And so because I have a background with a lot of technology and I have resources that we've been able to build over the 6 years I've been running the nonprofit Upstate Venture Connect with companies in education technology throughout the area, that I've been able to bring in the right people, and then the school district made the decision as to which were the right resources to use inside our school district. But it is that combination of expertise and some funding, as well as committed leadership, as we have here in our school district, that good things are happening, and we're quite excited about the path that we're on.
All right, quick question. Mark has been waiting for quite a while here. Mark, you're on with Martin Babinec. Quick question. Go ahead.
Hi, Martin. I just find it odd that you haven't made up your mind which presidential candidate you would vote for or support. It's kind of strange.
All right, well, let's let him respond.
Could you clear that up for us? I mean, it seems like a pretty clear thing.
All right, Martin, Martin, go ahead. I've got about 15 seconds.
I'm sure that there are some people that it is a clear thing, all right? But as I expressed earlier, I have concerns with each candidate, so it's not, for me, an obvious choice. And I believe over the course of time between now and November, all of us as voters will have a chance to listen to what's going on. What happens in the convention is going to be another milestone in this process. I'll be paying attention, as I hope all voters were, and then by the time we get to November, we can make a choice at that time. And for people that have already made up their mind, that's fine.
Yeah.
But I think it's too important a choice to make that call too early when, again, I have concerns about both candidates.
All right, Martin Babinec, thanks so much for your time. We hope to have you in studio sometime. We'll get you back real soon.
All right, thank you.
All right, thanks so much. Quick break. We'll come right back at WIBX.